Even though our world is broken, there is hope in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Candid Mike is here to share the gospel through life lessons and heavy hitting interviews that will leave you inspired. In each episode, you will have the opportunity to make a difference in your personal life and in the lives of those you love. Today's episode has something good for you. Welcome back, listeners. I want to thank you for joining us again on Candid Mike, and I hope that integrity has been going great as a part of your life this past week. I have a quick update for you. I will have family in town this weekend because, by the grace of God, I am being appointed an evangelist. I'm humbled, I'm encouraged, and inspired all at the same time. This is a dream come true for me as I've been wanting to serve God and help serve His churches and be a part of a team who can lead churches one day. This means a whole lot to me, and quite frankly, I'm not even sure how I exactly feel about it because it's so surreal. But it's very special, and I feel very honored and just very, very privileged and thankful that God would even consider me as somebody who could serve in His church in this kind of way. Um, it's awesome. As we get into the topic today, though, I want to remind you that this series is designed to help you love, serve, and influence those you love the most, the people in your inner circle, your families, your friends, your coworkers. And today we're talking about discipline. This is controlled behavior, right? We all want more of that. We all want to take more control of our lives. For me, I can think back, and one of the things I had the most trouble controlling was my temper. Ooh, I remember as a teenager, I would let anything make me mad, and I stayed so mad for so long for no reason, really. I would just have a hard time controlling it. And I think part of my experience then was feeling fear and trying to overcompensate as a self defense mechanism, just all kinds of things there. But what's in your life right now that you'd like to be more of an area of discipline for you? Would that be just getting things done at your job? Or maybe you're in school or college, right? Getting that homework done on time and not at the last minute. Or maybe getting rid of those destructive behaviors. Maybe it's the drinking. Maybe it's the smoking. Maybe it's the not working out. Maybe it's the not getting up on time or not getting in the bed on time. Maybe it's spending money more than you like to. Or maybe you're just noticing that you have not been able to overcome a particular area, such as, like what, flossing. Maybe you want to floss more. It can sound silly, but sometimes we can really feel stuck. What happens is that companies suffer, families suffer, our relationships suffer, and we as people suffer. We don't enjoy being ourselves because we feel stuck as someone we don't want to be. And discipline is something that can be very, very hard to take a hold of. Let's listen to the Apostle Paul as he's talking in 1 Corinthians 9 about a very serious topic. He's talking about his own spiritual battle, his own spiritual walk with God, and how, as a preacher and an apostle, he doesn't want to lose his qualification as being deemed worthy of being a Christian. So, in verse 25, 26, and 27, Paul says this: everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. And he's talking about the prize of salvation, the prize of being with Christ, being in heaven, being united with God. But what he's also talking about here is this concept of strict training. Strict training. When he says he beats his body and makes it his slave, he actually is saying he punches himself below the eyes as if to knock himself out so that he can subdue his body to his self, taking control of his body. Maybe you are experiencing one of these things that we mentioned earlier. Maybe multiple areas of your life right now you feel like you just don't have control over and you want control. You probably feel tired or frustrated, wishing you could be more disciplined. Here's the answer: you can be more disciplined. Here's what you need to do: you have to pinpoint, you have to plan, you have to practice, and then you have to evaluate. Here's how you do it. Let's say with pinpointing, it's exactly what it sounds like. You have to figure out what area in your life needs discipline. For me, right now, as we speak, it's time management. I still see a few areas in my time where my clubs and my projects are being managed last minute. Okay? I want these clubs and these projects to be managed during the week at a time, maybe in a day, if I just block out a couple of hours instead of me having to do these things last minute, and then I feel like I'm rushing and I don't do as well, and my communication with people is late, and you know how that goes, right? So that's an area in my life right now. So you got to pinpoint an area first. Maybe for you it's eating. Maybe you overeat. Maybe you spend too much money. Maybe you're not exercising consistently. Maybe you're having trouble going to bed on time or waking up on time. I know some friends right now who can't really sleep. That's a different issue. They're going to bed on time, but they're actually not falling asleep. I would say if that's the case, you may want to see a doctor to figure out how he or she can help you get through that. But here's the key: you got to be honest and call it what it is. Get those people close to you, your family, your friends, your circle, to help you recognize the areas where you need to be more disciplined. Ask them to be brutally honest with you and gentle with you to help you grow and pinpoint where you need to be more disciplined. After you do the pinpointing, you need to plan. When you don't plan, there's no place to start, there's no place to finish, there's no route to take, there's no way to measure progress. This is why you have to plan. You may come up with this amazing area where you're like, okay, I need to manage my time more. Okay, but how are you going to do that? How are you going to measure yourself do it? Where are you going to start? Where are you going to finish? What's the goal? You need to write those things down. Okay, so for me specifically with time, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to block out time to tend to the responsibilities I have in these clubs and with these projects. I'm going to block out time in my day during my week, probably 2 hours a week for each. That way, when it comes time to spend those 2 hours on these particular parts of my schedule, I will have them ready to go, and I just have to make sure I do the work I need to do within those blocks of time. That way, the work gets done. Okay? So, for me, I'm going to block out the time. I'm going to use the time. And I'm also going to start small. Sometimes when we make plans, we overplan or we make it too complicated, and that creates this giant mountain that we've got to climb up in order to get started. And we get discouraged when we fail and we actually don't progress. I'm going to start small and simple and work towards my goal. For example, with my projects, I would like all of the work to be done with the projects and the clubs by Friday of the week, right? That way by next week when we meet and when we talk, everything's already ready to go, has already been ready to go. Everybody knows it's ready to go almost 4 or 5 days ahead of time. But I got to work up to that because right now I'm not there. So I'm going to start simple, start small. So you got to have a plan. What's your goal? What exactly are you going to do? How long are you going to do it for? And then the other thing I wanted to encourage you to is to start small and simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. After you plan, you actually have to do it. This is practice. Implement your plan and have a close friend ask you once a week, twice a week, however many times you need them to ask. Just have them ask you how it's going. Have them ask you, check on you, motivate you, remind you of your goal, remind you of your plan. help you keep going. Maybe they're even doing it with you because maybe they're working on the same thing. But you got to answer honestly. If it's not going well, tell them, hey, you know what? It's not going well this week. I wasn't, in my case, I didn't do what I said I would do when I said I would do it this week. So I need to do it on another day, or I need to make sure I do it next week. But this is practice. You're not going to be perfect. You're not. You're going to make some mistakes. It's going to be hard. It takes work. Paul literally says, I that people who compete in the games goes into strict training. By the way, he's talking about the Olympic Games in that city at that time. They train and they train so they can compete. And what he's talking about again is his own walk, his own salvation, his walk with God. He's training. He's strict. He's aiming purposefully, right? He has a plan, so he doesn't get disqualified. The discipline here is admirable. What we're talking about is discipline and pinpointing, planning, and practicing, making sure that we are doing our best and we have people in there with us to help us do our best. I would say give yourself about 2 to 4 weeks to work on it, right? You're gonna need some time to see how it goes. So you want to stick with the practice for a little while and get your friends involved to help you see how it's going. The last thing is evaluation. After you're in it 2 to 4 weeks, you want to start to fine tune your plan. Or maybe it's too complicated right now. It just is not working with my schedule. Let's say you're trying to wake up on time and you ideally want to be up at 6, right? And maybe waking up at 6 tomorrow is a bad idea. Maybe you won't be able to do that. But how about 7? How about 6:30? Do you have the flexibility in your schedule? If you have kids, probably not. If you have a job where you have to be there at a certain time, probably not. Right? So again, if you can, be more flexible with yourself so you can get started off better and you can progress and you won't beat yourself up too much. But in your evaluation process, you should be keeping a lookout for this. Is my plan too complicated? Is my plan too simple? Are you actually progressing towards your goal? Are you actually, again, progressing towards what? Your goal, which is exactly what you pinpointed. If you're not progressing, then you need to start planning over again so that your plan will be more effective. Okay? So with pinpointing, planning, practicing, evaluating, this is, so to speak, pretty strict training. It takes work. This type of discipline will really inspire you. You can learn to believe in yourself and realize, you know what, you can actually reach your goals and change the things that you feel like you can never change. And it'll inspire your family, your friends, your close circle. Of course, it will. It's going to take some work, guys. As we're working on this, developing this part of our character, it's going to be difficult. It takes time. You might not reach your goal as fast as you want. And then again, you may, depending on you. I believe in you. And the neat thing is that we have an example in Paul telling us that we can take control and aim and win. So imagine this. Imagine living the life you want to live. Being able to get up on time, being able to plan on time, communicate on time, being able to manage your money, being able to say no to those things you don't want to eat. You are taking back control of your life, making your life what you want. Imagine that life. That's the life you're pinpointing, planning, practicing, and evaluating for. It's worth it. These 4 steps, you're 4 steps away from being a man or woman that you really want to be and capitalizing on your discipline. The neat thing about discipline is that it helps you in every season of life. No matter what you do, it's healthy. And it's also something that's a very hard skill to develop that some people have naturally, but some people don't. When you hone this and grow, you'll be in a position to help other people do the same exact thing, which is pretty awesome. I hope this is encouraging. And as you think about pinpointing, planning, practicing, evaluating, as you think about being more disciplined, as you think about Paul's example in 1 Corinthians 9:25-27, take control of your life, beat your body and make it your servant, your slave. You take control. You lead yourself in the direction you want to go so that you can be the man or woman you want to be, having the character that you need to love, serve, inspire, and influence those in your close circle. Discipline goes a long way because it sets an example of a man or a woman who is doing their very best with what they got. And that inspires hearts to be different and to do their best with what they've got. Next Wednesday at 8 a.m., we're going to discuss conflict and how we handle it with the character of Christ. Conflict is going to be in all of our lives. We want to make sure we navigate it in a way that will lead us to love, serve, and influence those in our close circle as best as possible. Please remember to visit mitchelllavender.com and take a look at my blogs and keep a lookout for my book. And please follow me at Candid Mike Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook. Thanks again. You guys are awesome. Thank you for listening to Candid Mike, where we share life and ministry principles to inspire transformation and ministry development. Each episode is a joy for us to record, and we are so thankful that you tune in to listen to us. A big thanks to Steezy Prime for our show music, which you can find more of his music on SoundCloud at Steezy Prime. Please stay tuned for our next episode and follow us on Instagram at Candid Mike Podcast. Thank you. Until next time.